Welcome everyone to our very first Facebook Live. This is Mark from SupplyHouse.com, and I'm here today with Dave Holdorf from Taco Comfort Solutions and Jim DePalma from Wales Darby, which is a Taco representative company. I just wanted to start out, if you guys, well, first of all, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So the first thing, Dave, while we wait for some people to join, if you could just sort of explain how you got into the business and what you do for Taco.
Okay. Well, for Taco, I am the East Coast trainer for them, which means on the residential side, I travel up and down the East Coast and teach about the Taco products themselves and how to use them properly, how to apply them to projects, and troubleshooting. And not just the Taco products themselves, but also hydronic systems in general. So that's what I've been doing for Taco for the last 5 years. And before that, I was in the radiant side of the business where I was tech support. I used to do designs, troubleshooting, job sites, installs, you name it, I've done it. My old nickname used to be the jeans and boots guy of the company. So I've been doing this stuff now about 20 years and enjoying every minute of it.
Great. And Jim, if you could sort of explain a little bit about first what Wales Darby does and how you're involved with Takeout, and also how you got into the business.
Sure. Wales Darby, we're a manufacturer's rep in the New York and New Jersey market, selling technical HVAC products. We've been a long time rep with Taco, and my position at Wales Darby is to educate, train contractors, help with design and layout systems. I work in a group with 4 other people, our contractor services group, which does that across our trading area.
Great. So as you know, today we're here to talk about the brand new product, the Smart Plug, and also we're going to talk about the 007E circulator pump. Now, before we do that, and before I give the floor to Dave and Jim, I just wanted to say that we're going to have a contest, and everyone who comments below with a question for either one of these products or any Taco product will be entered into the contest, and at the end we'll do a random drawing, and the winners one will get a Smart Plug and one will get a 007 pump, so a 007E pump. So the first thing we're going to do before these guys explain the the Smart Plug, is we're going to watch a quick video on the Smart Plug.
Upgrade your instant hot water recirculating system with a Smart Plug instant hot water control. Your hot water recirculating system is already bringing you added comfort and water savings, but continuously running circulators and improperly programmed timers can waste energy by operating the circulator and hot water heater when hot water isn't needed. Smart Plug turns any corded circulator into a smart circulator. Its Smart Mode learns the household's water usage pattern and delivers hot water only when it's needed for up to 94% more energy efficiency, increased comfort, and longer water heater life. Installing a Smart Plug is easy too. Just plug it in to a 110-volt power outlet, then plug the circulator power cord into the Smart Plug. Attach the included sensor wire to the hot water supply line. The LEDs will light up and you'll enjoy instant hot water comfort in no time. Smart Plug also provides a pulse mode that continuously cycles the circulator on for 5 minutes, off for 10, and a vacation mode that shuts off the circulator after 36 hours of no hot water use. In vacation mode, the exercise function cycles the circulator for 10 seconds every 7 days to prevent corrosion and scale buildup. Turn your hot water recirculation system into a smart system for increased efficiency and superior hot water comfort. So ask your plumber about the Smart Plug Instant Hot Water Control. Smart Plug is made by Taco Comfort Solutions, a 3rd-generation, family-owned American company you can trust.
So just a quick reminder, make sure you comment below with any questions you have at all about the Smart Plug, the 007E pump, or any Taco-related questions at all. And you'll be entered for a contest to win a Smart Plug and a pump, and also these really cool Taco hats. And we're going to do these after the show, but we're going to give away the 2 products during the show. So Guys, why don't you explain the smart plug?
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. The first thing I want to talk about with the smart plug itself, a couple weeks ago there was a big trade show in Las Vegas called the AHR show, and it's like the largest heating and air conditioning plumbing trade show there is in the industry in North America. And it was held in Las Vegas this year, and they started around 14 years ago this contest. And what they did was innovative products at the show itself. And there were about 2,000 exhibitors at the show. Every exhibitor is going to have something new there, maybe more than one thing that's new. And estimate about 5,000 new products that we can see just in our industry alone. The Smart Plug had won the Innovative Award for the plumbing category, but then they pitted it against 10 other products, and it won Product of the Show. So if you want to show slide 1. So we won Product of the Year for that, and we're very proud of this. This is a very neat product, a very cool product that we came out with, and that we won for Product of the Year at the show. Pretty amazing. So I just want to give also kudos back to the Taco team in the development and the manufacturing of this product. So before we get into it, so I want to talk about what hot water recirculation is first, before we get into the nuts and bolts of what the Smart Plug is. And if we pull up slide 2 and take a look at it, this is a comic that I saw a couple of years ago, and it resonates. People wait for hot water in their homes, all right? Everybody waits for hot water, except for the one in this comic here. The comic says, that you're gonna have hot water instantly if you put the water heater in the shower. And the Smart Plug is designed to eliminate that. We don't wanna wait for that hot water any longer. So what Smart Plug will do is run a circulator in order to get that hot water out to the house. So we want to eliminate that wait time that's going on there. But how we got there, it hasn't always been this way when it comes to hot water recirc. Home styles have changed. Sizes of homes have changed. Distance to the furthest fixtures have changed. It used to be about 10 feet away from the water heater to the furthest fixture. Now we're looking at 80, 90 feet away to that furthest bathroom, and the wait time has become tremendous, and the waste that comes along with that. The number of fixtures that we add to homes have increased tremendously. So over the last 30, 40 years, our homes have changed a lot, and the wait has become longer and longer. And most people don't know there's anything they can do about it. They just live with it and say, well, that's what it is. So, we have these more fixtures in the house itself. We have more volume of water that's needed. We're upsizing our the pipe to get there. It used to be 1/2-inch pipe. Now we're looking at 3/4 inch or 1-inch pipe. So we have that going on. And then the fixtures have changed. All of our fixtures end up being low flow. So with the low flow fixtures and this big pipe and the larger distances to get there, we end up waiting 18 times longer today to get hot water at our fixtures than we did in 1970. So it's like I said, it was a gradual change over the last 30, 40 years. And it just didn't happen overnight. It was a slow change, and we just live with it today. So hot water recirculation is meant to eliminate that wait time, to give you the comfort and the convenience of having hot water, and also not wasting water going down the drain. So Jim was talking about it today. We pay for the water to come into the house. Now we're paying for it to go down the drain, and then we're paying for it to leave the house, and we didn't even get to use a drop of it yet. So that equates to about 12,000 gallons a year for a family of 4. That's a 12 by 20 swimming pool every year that we dump down the drain while waiting for hot water. So it's a tremendous amount of waste, and recirculation is meant to eliminate that waste right there, plus also giving you the comfort and convenience at the same time. So how do we install it in a home? Well, if we take a look at, if we pull up slide 3, we'll see a typical plumbing system installed in a home. And coming out of the water heater, we branch around the house and we tee off and we hit different fixtures. And it will typically end at some termination point in the house. What we like to do is get a return line from that furthest fixture in the house and bring it back to the water heater. Now the diagram that I'm showing you shows it tapped into the drain side of the water heater. We could also tap it into the cold water supply into the water heater itself. It's a personal choice on where you want to make that installation. So we install a circulator on that return line, and then we have hot water recirculation. So that's been going on for quite a few years with a standard installation like this. You have that return line installed in a home. You can pull the slide up. So typically what's been done in the past is that we'll just take a standard circulator like this one here, and we'll plug it in, and we'll let it run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it gives us hot water when we want it. So, but it becomes inefficient because most people have a schedule that they use when they are using hot water. So a couple hours in the morning, a couple hours in the evening, but if we have this circulator in there, it's just going to run all day long. So therefore it makes that pipe hot, so we've got a lot of flow, we've got a lot of heat loss now, and then we're making the water heaters run in excess of when it doesn't need to run. So we want to make them smarter? Great. So we go ahead and we take those circulators and we go ahead and put a timer on them. So a timer like this, all right, we can set the time on here when I want hot water, when I use it. But however, there are disadvantages to this timer because it's an electric timer. So what happens with these electric timers is the power goes out, the schedule gets messed up. Daylight savings, the schedule gets messed up. These all have overrides to turn them on to make them run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So unless people want to go downstairs and adjust the timers. So it gets cumbersome in that point. And then they just get overridden and run 24 hours a day. So again, getting down to making that circulator run in excess. So what we've developed is the smart plug. And the smart plug can take that timer pump or just the straight on pump and now give it some brains. We're going to make it smarter now, and what it's going to do is learn your schedules in the home. So it will, it learns when you use water, it runs the circulator for a short time period in between, and gets the water ready for you when you're ready to need it. So we're not wasting any electricity, and we're not having that circulator moving water throughout the house the entire day.
Is this going to be able to adapt to the homeowner's, schedule?
Yes, it learns an initial schedule when we first plug this thing in, and it's a very simple device to plug in. So we take any one of those pumps that have a cord on them, and if I take it out of this blister pack,
Carefully now.
we see that it's got a plug on one side and a plug on the inside. All right, we pull out the circulator from the wall, we put this in its place, plug the circulator back in. And there's a temperature sensor that we wire into the bottom here, and then we strap it to the supply side of the water heater coming out. And what this does is it will look for when people use water. That means that the water temperature rises in the pipe, it's used for a length of time, and then the water cools down, and it records that event. And it says, all right, this is when you used water, and the next time I'm going to run at that time period.
Now, you call that an event? Is that a short period of time, a long period of time? Does it matter?
Short periods are not going to necessarily get recognized, like a quick washing of the hands or a quick turn on the faucet. We're looking for that rise in temperature and duration used. So it's going to look for when the majority of the time the water's used.
Okay.
And it's got a 7-day calendar built in. So as many events during the day is what it's going to record. And it will record 7 days worth, because we didn't want one day, because we know weekends are different than weekdays for a lot of people.
Right.
And depending upon schedules between sports schedules with kids coming home from school or coming home from practice. But those are usually set schedules. So it will learn those schedules and continuously adjust those schedules also. So it's not just giving me 7 days and I'm done. My schedules are going to change. It will change automatically every single day.
I decide to go away on vacation. What's this going to do?
It does have a vacation setting. So
Do I have to go and
don't
do
have
it
to touch
myself?
anything. After 36 hours, when that temperature sensor is put onto the pipe, it will recognize that there's been no events for 36 hours. If nobody has used any water in 36 hours, this will turn the circulator off.
Okay.
It turns it off and waits for the next event for when people come home. So, and then as soon as water's used, it wakes up and it goes back to the schedule again. So, power outage. Now, right now, it does not have a memory on board, but if there is a power outage in the home, it will relearn again. So, and it will not have caused any hiccups or any changes in the home. So we're going to have that circulator starting to run again to relearn. Now, when it does run, this is also, it's not running for a very long time. What we have done, we've programmed the run times for 5 minutes. So it will run for 5 minutes and then it will be off for 10. We don't need it to run for a full 15 minutes because the water doesn't cool down that fast in the pipe. So it's a quick run time, and then be off for a long time, and then be on for a short time, just to get the water moving and to make sure it's ready when you want it. That's the important thing.
So we had a couple questions, and I think that you answered this already, but Mark Leduc asked about the initial schedule. That's 7 days, you said, right?
Correct, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also we had a couple questions about an aquastat. Is this replacing an aquastat, sort of, or can you use an aquastat with it, or?
That's correct. It would replace the aquastat. You wouldn't need the aquastat in the job setting because the aquastat was designed for your constant on circulators like this, and when the temperature got warm next to the circulator, it would shut off. But if that aquastat cooled down just a little bit, it would turn back on again, even if nobody was home that needed the water. So yes, you would eliminate your aquastat. You don't need to use that aquastat anymore. The smart plug will take care of that for you.
So I got a family, we have a pretty set schedule, so that's going to memorize our schedule. As families grow up, schedules change, and now it's more erratic. How is this going to still help me?
What we're going to, well, initially out of the box when you install this, it's in the smart mode, which means it's in its learning mode. It wants to learn your schedule. So that initial plug-in that day, it will run for that 7 days straight. 5 minutes on, 10 minutes off, 5 minutes on, 10 minutes off for the full 7 days, and learning the schedule. However, if you do not have a schedule, all right, like my house, I don't have a schedule at all.
Right.
All right, actually, I'm the only one that has a schedule. I've got 6 other people that stay home all the time, and their water usage patterns are all over the place. So I'm able to take my smart plug and I take it out of the smart mode and I put it into pulse mode, which means it runs like it was learning the first time. So it's going to run 5 minutes on, 10 minutes off all day, because my patterns are so erratic all over the place that it wouldn't work well. So we installed it, we put that feature in there for applications like mine, for commercial applications, for apartment buildings, for hotels, to make their system smarter. So, you know, the best analogy that I can give this, the smart plug in learning schedules, and you know, this isn't anything new. We're hearing about, you know, learning capabilities, but mostly in our thermostats nowadays, right? We're looking at all these smart thermostats. What's the idea behind that? So I don't have to program it. I don't have to go and program my schedules of when I'm going to be home, when do I want heat, when do I want air conditioning. This is the same thing. So, and we've got that flexibility between schedule or no schedule on it, but also offer the efficiency and the convenience behind it.
How large a circulator can I hook up to this?
Yes.
Didn't mean to stump you.
I know, no, there's quite a few different sizes. You got a lot of options on circulator. Well, we're looking at a 115 volt circulator, definitely. Oh wow, I completely forgot the numbers now. Now I'm gonna have to look on the package. Right, so I was
That's
looking at
legal.
it before.
It's allowed.
It's all right to do that, right?
Yeah.
So actually, it was on the back of the unit itself, a half horsepower. So it was a 1/2 horsepower circulator that you could run off of here, as long as it's a 115 volt circulator. So, so we're handling a lot of different applications. Most of the time, we're looking at small circulators. In a residential setting, we're looking at the smaller ones like this. We're not looking at major flow. We're looking at low flows. So we're looking at 003 models. We're looking at 006 models. Is the most common size circulators that we want to look at in a residential hot water recirc system. So, but you can run bigger if need be, depending upon the applications.
So we're getting a lot of questions about like the electric cost that will, and then versus the water savings versus, you know, I don't know, gas for your
For the water
your
heater,
water heater
right
and things
itself.
like that,
Okay. Electrical costs, that's always a conversation that comes up. And I did the math for my own house. And if it was in the smart mode in the beginning, and then I ended up changing it to the pulse mode. But in the smart mode, I calculated to the electrical consumption in my house about $6 a year because of that short runtime, between $6 and $10 per year, not per month, per year. to run this little circulator, because these are, little 40, 50 watt circulators. So we're not looking at a large consumption of that circ. Now doing the math and figuring out a circulator running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, based on where I live, I look at about $2,000 a year in electrical costs. So I go from $2,000 down to 10. So the electrical costs drop tremendously by giving the circulator some smarts and only running when I need it. Water conservation is a big deal. And we do see the average family of four will waste 12,000 gallons a year while waiting for hot water. Because if you have to wait for hot water at home, okay, and you guys are all going to answer your own question, how long do you wait? And if you're not sure, that's the right answer. It is, nobody knows for sure unless you stand there with a watch and your hands in the shower and you're waiting for that hot water. That doesn't happen. If you know you wait for hot water, you turn the water on and go do something else. And you come back in a couple of minutes and then the water's warm. So there's a lot of waste that happens there. And the Department of Energy has studied this, and the numbers that they have given us is about 12,000 gallons for a family of four, which is a 12 by 20 swimming pool. That's how much water it is. Now, where I live, water's inexpensive, all right? When I look at saving 12,000 gallons and how much it costs me to get water to my house, I look at a savings about $40 a year. All right, it's not huge. Now, I don't have any sewage costs. I've got some friends of mine that live about 30 miles away. They have to pay for it once coming in and twice going out. So they're looking at savings right there with a research system of almost $300 a year. $200 a year. So there's a lot of benefits to it, and there's almost no negatives when it comes to adding hot water research to a home.
So just for the people that are joining us, as we go, right now we're with Taco, and we're talking about the smart plug, and at about 6:30 we're going to move over to talk about the 007E. Mark LeDuc asks if the schedule can be set manually.
No, there is no setting to the schedule itself. It is going to learn itself. If you wanted to set a schedule, then you would go back to the traditional timer style pumps themselves. So we have them with the a digital timer, and we have them with analog timers. The digital timer is nice because it does give you a 7-day calendar. The analog timer is just a 24-hour calendar. So if it is something that you wanted to manually set, then you would use one of those. But the smart plug is meant to, make that smarter.
Right, it's seamless. It should be, homeowners shouldn't have to think about it. It's just there. They have hot water.
Right. Yeah.
No
No
waiting.
programming.
Right,
It's
no
just, like I
programming.
said, it's just like our Wi-Fi thermostats that we see out there. They learn the schedules for us. So this is the same thing.
Doug Denelt asks about the use with a tankless unit.
Okay, very good question. Thanks, Doug. That will depend, all right? And it depends upon the circulator being used. Yes, the smart plug can be used with it. However, tankless units have a different requirement as in the flow rate. And we need to have a larger circulator that has a higher flow in order to push the water through it, in order for that water heater to fire. So we're looking at larger models like our 008, 009s, 0011s in order to do that. So those tankless units are kind of finicky in that way, that in order to get it to fire, you need to have a high flow rate through it. But yes, you can use the smart plug for it. You're just not using a smaller circulator. And if you're not sure, check with the manufacturer of the tankless unit. They'll let you know which size circulator you can use for the application.
So Dan Profetto asks how long the sensor wire is, and I know we didn't really talk much about the sensor wire, but maybe we can get into that.
Okay. It comes with a 10-foot lead, all right? And you can extend it probably up to about 40 feet if you needed to with additional 18-2 thermostat wire. And there is a plug on the bottom here, so you're going to use a little screwdriver to install that sensor onto here, and then you can just plug it right back in. And it only goes in one direction, so you're not going to hurt anything. If you need to use a hammer to get it in, take it out, turn it around. So these are standard 10K sensors. We find these at a lot of different supply houses and locally, and you can a very easy component to get after the fact. If there is an error or a problem with the sensor itself, we do have an LED light on the front side that will tell you a sensor error. And what's going to happen is the circulator is now going to run in a pulse mode, and it's not going to run in the schedule mode. So you are going to not have that schedule at the time, but if you walk by and you see that red LED light, then you know you need to take a look at the sensor and what's going on with it.
What about a pump like a standard 007 that doesn't have a plug?
Well, we don't have anything that doesn't have this. So the smart plug doesn't have any terminals that you're going to wire to. So you'd have to get yourself an SJ cord and make sure it's grounded and just plug it straight in there. There are other options if you're looking at something new. The Smart Plus. All right, this is we already have the circulator themselves with this control built in too. So instead of having the two components like this, between getting a standard circulator and the smart plug, if you're looking at something new, then we do also have that capability with this already built into the circulator. So you have both options in that respect.
Yeah, actually, Alexander Lieberman just said that the Smart Plus pump is the best pump he's installed yet.
Excellent. Thank you, Alex.
Wonderful.
Now, we talked earlier, but how would contractors sort of sell this product to homeowners? Like, what are they explaining to them? And
It's a simple question. Ask them if they wait for hot water, and if it's inconvenience is the big thing right there. Everybody waits for it. They just don't know that there's a fix. We've all learned to say, all right, well, that's the way it is, and we just deal with it and just wait for hot water. So it is a simple fix that we can do, that we can add domestic hot water recirc. Now, the diagram that I had shown earlier had shown how it was piped into the project. A lot of times that's not feasible to run that return line, because your furthest fixture might be the master bathroom, which is on the other side of the house, and it's already sheetrocked underneath and there's a ceiling below. So that becomes a challenge in order to add something like this. We do have other ways to add hot water recirculation to homes, and it's what we call a crossover, all right, what we call the hot link system. And the hot link is a valve that goes underneath that sink. It's a little device about this big, and it goes underneath the sink, and it will connect from the hot water supply to the cold water supply. And it will take any of the cold water that's in the hot water pipe and push it back down the cold line back to the water heater itself. And so there you can add more hot water recirc into a home that way for renovation wise, and still utilize the smart plug with that if you need be.
Doug Denelta asked a couple questions about the event. I think the first question was, why does it not record short events because you want hot water when you're washing your hands? But he also asked what is the time that it takes, or what the temperature difference is to actually have it be recorded.
Okay. It's not looking for an actual temperature. It's just looking for a temperature change. That's the biggest thing that it's looking for. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at a few degree temperature rise, just to see, because every water heater might be set differently, or we have mixing valves installed on the water heater, so we see lots of different temperatures, so it doesn't want to look for an exact temperature. We also experience that hand washing sometimes doesn't move enough water out of the pipe in order to get the hot water there. If it was pushed out long enough, then yes, it would record that event. But the water usage is probably looking for about 2 to 3 minutes minimum as an event, because there are a lot of hand washing during the day. If that's an important aspect that you want in your home, because it's 2 in the afternoon and you want to wash your hands, then you might want to put it in the pulse mode and not have it in the smart mode in that respect, because you want to have that constant running all the time.
So Sean Paul Carden asks, what happens when domestic hot water run is short enough that the 5-minute runtime returns already hot water to the on-demand heater? Would that cause modulation issues?
No, not at all. Not at all. No, because now what's going to happen is the circulator shuts off, but the water's not flowing back to the water heater anymore, right? Because we're probably using it now. We're drawing. So we're taking a draw off. But no, it's not going to affect the modulation, because these water heaters are designed to see different incoming water temperatures.
That's right.
So
Half a gallon flow, the water heater fires.
right.
So if there's flow, it'll be firing.
Yeah, it's a low flow. It's not a high flow, so therefore it's not. It still has a lot of temperature rise that that water heater can do. So we're not going to damage it. That's why it needs to be a big enough pump. If it was too small, that's where the problems come into play. And my experience with small circulators and instantaneous or tankless water heaters has been what we call a sandwich effect. Too small of a circulator, the water heater triggers, and then shuts off. And then all of a sudden we get hot and cold spots of water in the pipe itself. So that's what happens with the too small of a circulator. But we haven't experienced any adverse effects. Again, check with your manufacturer of your tankless. There's so many of them out there nowadays, and see what they recommend as a recirculation system.
Great. So I think that there's a lot of people excited for the 007E information. I think that was great for the smart plug for now.
Excellent.
A reminder, if you have questions at all for these guys on the smart plug or the 007E, ask in the comments below, and you're entered into a contest to win a smart plug and a 007E, and we'll do the drawing at the end of this little broadcast. So before we talk about the 007E, we're going to show a quick video.
Building legends is part of the Taco culture. Taco built the legendary 007 circulator. Then the 007 built Taco. Today, the world grows smaller and the need for efficiency grows stronger. It's time for the 007 to evolve. Introducing the 007E. It's everything you love about the 007 in a new high-efficiency ECM model. The 007E is destined to be a legend in its own right. Its ECM technology uses less than half the power of the 007. There's SureStart automatic unblocking and air purging, and BioBarrier, built-in protection against black iron oxide contamination. There's even an LED to display the pump's status. Orange for normal operation, white for SureStart mode. And you get all the extras you expect from Taco. Dual electrical knockouts, 6-inch stranded wire leads, and double insulation to eliminate the need for a ground wire. An IFC integral check valve is included right in the box. And both the standard and the optional two-way flange have a nut grabber for easier installation. Simplicity, efficiency, and reliability have come together. Evolve with the 007E. Install it, forget it. Only from Taco Comfort Solutions.
All right, we're back, and I think Jim is going to start us off with the explanation of the Taco 007E.
Thank you. All right, you saw a short video there about the legacy of the 007. It's been a wonderful product for Taco for a long, long time. It's now evolving into the E series. E stands for Evolve. It's not an AC motor pump. This is a DC motor pump. It's an electrically commutative motor. That means we're going to take AC that comes to this circulator, convert it to DC, and the logic built into this power head will then decide how fast to pulse the DC to the pump, to the motor, in order to vary the speed. So this is the simplest, easiest to install variable speed circulator out on the market. This circulator will vary its speed from 0 GPM up to 8.25 GPM. Or if you want to think about it from 1 GPM as the 10,000 BTUs to 8.25 GPM of 82,500 BTUs. And if you have a zone valve system and as they open and close within that GPM range, this circulator will vary its speed based on the zone valves opening and closing. As it's doing that, it's using 85% less energy. At max speed, it'll pull 44 watts. A standard 007 pulls 80 watts. So even at max speed, I'm basically at 50% less power draw. And as we're varying our speed between that 1 GPM and 8.25, it will also use less power draw. It is the same flange-to-flange dimension as a 007. We have it as a universal type of flange, and we also have it as a two-way flange. So if you're a contractor who does new installs, most of them gravitate to the two-way flange. If you're a service contractor, we're noticing that most are gravitating to the universal flange. So you have more options on how to set up the circulator. One of the things that the 007 has enjoyed for a long, long time is that it's a very quiet running circulator. And we've had contractors over the years say to us, we can't tell when it's running. So now we have a light on this circulator. So when the circulator's on and running, you're going to have an orange light. So for your contractors out there, you can't tell if the pump is running. Now we got a light, you can look at it, you can see if it's going to run. But the circulator has two really interesting features, and that'll affect how the light changes. Do you have the breakout? Okay. One of the important things that we have is this biobarrier. The reason for this biobarrier is in your closed loop heating system, especially if you have a cast iron boiler and it's been there for quite a long time, you have black iron oxide in the water. And this magnet here, since it is permanently magnetized, we can never turn this off. So in the summertime, if that system is sitting there doing nothing, this magnet's going to be attracting black iron oxide. So this biobarrier that you see here will stop that black iron oxide from coming through. In case if we have an event where we get locked, the rotor gets locked, the light will change to a red color, and the circulator will go through the motions to unlock itself, break free, so the motor will run. If it cannot unlock itself, that light will stay red and shut down the pump. So if you get called for a service and you see a straight red light, you'll know that the pump is seized up and you have to do a repair work to it, but it won't burn up the motor. Another neat feature of this circulator is if we get air trapped within the volute, around the impeller, if there's air trapped around here, the circulator will sense that and will speed up and slow down in order to basically burp itself. Mm-hmm. It'll do that up to 100 times. And when that's happening, then the light will start to flash white. So if you see a standard orange light, circulator's running beautifully. You see a red light, we could be in a locked situation, but again, the pump will free itself. It'll actually move and shake in order to free that rotor. And if you see a white light, that means we've got an air situation and the pump will burp itself, get that air out.
Now, a lot of times when you are on a job site and you're trying to purge and trying to get that air out, we do that manually by trying to open and close some valves, all right? So we can try to move that air out throughout the system itself. That's what the circulator does. It runs down to about 1,000 RPM and then brings it back up to about 4,000 RPM to try to move that air out. So you can see it. You can almost feel it if you were there experiencing what's going on. Right. So Jim's going to turn it on. Right? We got some power to this one here, and right now it's in the air mode. All right, it's going to sense that there's air, and it is going to speed up and down.
So I don't know if you can hear it changing speed, or you can actually even see it vibrating, but it'll change its speed, slowing up, speeding up in order to burp that air. If I grab this impeller, and I have to do it right-handed because this is quite powerful, I'm going to grab it and hold. Now that light's going to turn red, and that circulator is fighting very hard to release itself. Now it's going to do a little bit of a shake and rattle to release itself again. Now if I let go, we'll go back to that orange light, and we'll go back to standard operation. Pretty neat feature. Very interesting feature for a contractor, especially if he's a service guy. If he's a service guy and he's doing service contracts with a circulator that could free itself, he's saving himself a lot of money and time instead of sending a tech out there all the time to unlock a circulator. It'll do it all by itself. Again, standard flange-to-flange dimension as a 007, so it'll slip right in to replace a standard 00. It is water lube, just like a 007 was. So you still got that great 007 legacy and an ECM pump.
Correct. Install it, forget it.
That's it.
So just as a reminder, this is supplyhouse.com, obviously here with Taco. Right now we're talking about the 007E pump. And Mark LeDuc says, how can you not love new products from an ever-efficient and transparent company like Taco? Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
And also Adam Henkel says that's one strong thumb.
See the indentations.
Yeah. So you sort of touched on it right there, but that you mentioned earlier today when we were talking that the status light is like one of the strongest features, right?
Oh, absolutely. I've been on job sites. I've been on job sites with Dave for years, and troubleshooting, and we may have a single pump, multiple pumps, and the contractor, if he doesn't have any gear to check power, may put his hand on a pipe, feel some vibration. Oh yeah, that pump's running, and in reality, it's not. It's another pump that's causing vibration. So this cures that. You can instantly see if it's running or not, and how it's running, and what it's doing in the system.
So Dan Perfetto asked earlier today, and I think we sort of answered this already, but before you explained anything, he asked any reason besides energy efficiency to purchase the 007E, but that's actually not really the best part of it, right?
Right.
The Sure Start feature, the Air Purge feature, that's really it.
Yeah. The other half too is that it can add energy efficiency. It can add efficiency to your heating system. So we're not just looking at the electrical side of things. Yes,
Right.
that's great. All right. And it will save some dollars per year. We estimate anywhere between $25 and $30 electrically a year that this circulator can save over its standard 007 counterpart. But what's nice with this is that it's also a variable speed. So this circulator will change speeds depending upon the application, depending on what job site you have it in. If it's a zone valve application, when we have a standard fixed speed circulator, that thing is stupid. It's just running full out and trying to send out as much water as it can. Now, we get involved with the E series here, the 007E, and it will vary its speed as zone valves start to close down, which means that it's going to flow just what the system needs. It doesn't overflow a system, which means we're also going to see a better temperature drop across our boiler, and therefore giving a cooler return temperature back to the boiler. The boiler wants to see, that designed 20-degree delta T in order to get the efficiency, because when's the boiler most efficient?
When it's off.
When it's off, that's right. But also when it's got a long run time.
Right.
So we want to cool that thing way down, and then we want it to run back up again. And when we are over pumping, with traditional fixed speed circulators, we start to shrink that delta T in the boiler. So therefore, they short cycle a lot. Now when we can control the flow that's going out to the system, and then therefore making the boiler a lot more efficient. Also, making the house more comfortable. Because, again, it's just going to add so many positives into it, and there's very little negatives that you can run into. So we get the energy efficiency out of it, we get the electrical savings out of it, and we're adding that little bit of comfort. We're not going to see those temperature swings in the house. Normally, a little creep up 71, 72, bring it back down to 68 again. So we get a little more steadiness going on in the house, too.
That's right. This circulator is the heartbeat of the heating system. And if I have a heartbeat that can vary its output based on actual demand, the system's going to run better and the house is going to be more comfortable. I have a variable speed in my house, so does Dave, and we've both experienced that. And I know that for a fact because my wife tells me the house is more comfortable.
So is this circulator good for systems with zone valves?
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely. And zone pumping, all right? So if you like to build a wall of pumps, all right, it's not going to necessarily run full out, all right? It will find a slower speed to run at. Based upon how much flow the zone can handle. So great for zone valves and great for zone pumps. And what's great about it for a zone valve application, this is an excellent application for this circulator, is that it maintains a constant pressure of 10 foot ahead. And when we see that on a pump curve, we eliminate any noise in our systems when zone valves start to close. All right, we see that a lot, banging zone valves that make that little bit of noise when they get to closing because they're trying to close against a big circulator or a fixed speed circulator. This will sense when those zones are closing and will try to eliminate any of that noise in the system. So sometimes, again, those are things that we live with. Now we can eliminate it because this circulator will sense that valve closing, will automatically shift its speed and slow down so it's not banging up against that zone valve, so also quieting it down. Yes.
Todd Belcher asks if the circulator has surge protection.
No, there is no surge protection built in. However, we are typically still wiring these two relay panels, like our switching relays. So the surge protection is in the relay panel before it gets to the circulator itself. So we have fuses built into the relay panels that will protect the circulators. Yes.
Okay. Todd Belcher also asks what the life expectancy of a 007E is compared to the standard 007.
Well, before I changed the circulator in my house, I had a 007 running in my house for 20 years. Since this is a DC motor, it's going to use less power. It's built for variable speed. It'll run a lot cooler. So if my standard 00 lasted 20 years, this has the potential to do that plus.
Yeah. What kills circulators, usually when circulators die, is what Jim talked about before. Air in a system
Black iron
and
oxide.
dirty water. All right, those are the two things that kill all circulators. And that's in our experience, as the manufacturer, we see that dying in burning up the bearings. All right, the air, we burn up a bearing. If there's dirty water in there where the impeller can't spin, it starts to heat everything up. So with the short start feature that's in there, that gets rid of that. So we have a very long expectation out of this. Now, don't worry about it being serial number 001. All right. So we've been working with this platform of circulator already for 4 years ourselves here in the U.S., but we've also been doing it for the past 15 years on our Taco Italia counterparts. So this circulator's been around for a while.
This was actually the first ECM circulator,
Yes,
correct?
first ECM circulator in the world, correct?
Right.
Residential.
Residential.
So it's been around for a long time, and we expect it to stay a lot longer too. So right now, it still does offer a same 3-year warranty, flange to flange, like we do with every other 00.
So you mentioned it a second ago about the dirt that kills the pumps, and you were talking about it with the magnet thing. Do you have to clean that out?
Well, that's an interesting question. And I'll tell you this, as a manufacturer's rep, I do have other products that I represent. So if you were doing a brand new install, maybe a new boiler change out, you may want to clean out that system, or you probably do want to clean out that system, in fact, if it's very old. Treat it. There's a couple of products on the market for that. There's some magnetic filters on the market that'll help that. Our counterparts, our competitors that have ECM-style circulators do not have this biobarrier, so they actually need that type of protection if they're going to get any longevity out of their circulator. So you don't have to. It's a good practice. If I was doing a brand new system install, changing out that boiler, but if you were just changing the circulator because of our biobarrier, you really wouldn't have that issue.
Yeah, and you don't need to service the biobarrier.
No, not at all.
Because in the circulator, we use the water to cool the bearings down, but it doesn't constantly flow through there. We fill up that cartridge with water for the first time, and that's what we're watching for. We're protecting any of that initial charge from getting in there with any of the black iron oxides or any dirt that's in the water. So it's not a constant flow and flushing thing, so you don't have to take it apart every year and clean out the biobarrier, not at all. It's just meant for that initial charge and using it in older systems. So, like Jim says, water chemistry is an important thing that we should consider in our boilers. However, a lot of times they are very forgiving to have really dirty water too.
Right.
So that's what we're trying to look at, with you in mind, with the biobarrier and having the Sure Start feature built in.
So this is an interesting question. I'm not sure you'll have the answer, but I'm going to ask it.
Okay.
So Sean Paul Carden asks why Taco didn't incorporate supply and return temperature sensors like in the Veridians to keep 20-degree delta T. He thought that was a great feature.
Oh, we still have that.
Yeah, we still have that.
Oh, we still do that circulator. So the VT2218
Right.
is our Delta T style circulator. So we still have that. It's still available here.
Okay.
Great circulator. Love that circulator. But not for everybody. Not for every job site. It is a bigger circulator, meaning performance-wise. So you got to find the right application a lot of times. And we do know that once we start adding complexity and a lot of buttons and features and sensors and things like that, it starts to price itself out. And where the 007E, we know there's tons of 007s out there. We love the reliability that it has. But the Delta T circulator is still definitely on the market. We're never getting rid of that one either.
Right.
Correct.
The E that Taco's putting on the pump, besides being ECM, also means that it's the Evolve series. So we go to market with the 007E as our good product. Our VR1816, the next level up, would be better, and then we go out with best with the VT2218. So the 007E, the VR1816, they're our Delta P pumps, and then when we get to the VT2218, that's our Delta T pump.
So he wonders why you didn't want to put that in this pump. Is that just not possible? Or
Just a good, better, best, 3 different price points.
Yeah.
We consider this the everyman's variable speed ECM pump.
Got it. So if they added that, it would have been more, so you're keeping
Correct,
it.
correct. We already have it, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, two pricing questions. What's the average price of the smart plug and the average price of the
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Take a look on your website.
Okay. Maybe if our guys
Us
can-
being the tech guys, we don't keep the prices in our head, so I would go take a look at supplyhouse.com's website. And
Absolutely.
They'll tell you the price right there.
Okay, here's a good name. Oceana Jones wants to know if it can be installed in any position, horizontal or vertical.
No. What you have to make sure is that the body is facing this way. So if you needed to have your flanges, instead of being 12 to 6, if you needed them to be 9 to 3, you would have to loosen up the 4 bolts and spin it. Don't take it apart, you'd spin it, right? And then lock it down. So the motor always has to be in this position.
Right. So motor wants to be horizontal because if we end up with air in that cartridge, we can burn out the bearings. So we always want to see it mounted in this position or in this position. And we always like to see, that electrical box is either going to be on the side like this or up on top. We don't necessarily like the electrical box down low because that's, electric above water is how we like to follow it. And if we ever have any leaks, you can have some short outs here. So, like Jim was saying, there's 4 Allen keys here. You take it apart, you can rotate this 90 degrees to whatever fits your application on your install. Flange to flange dimension is the same as any other 007. So they all match up. So you don't have to worry about any spaces or anything like that in between. So we have that all designed the same. And what's also nice with these circs is that we also are looking at it much easier to install. I mean, I'll ask everybody right now, how many hands does it take to install a standard circulator? And you're going to say 3. 1 for each wrench and 1 to hold it in place. Well, if you've noticed, this has been sitting here on the table, so it's nice and light. So therefore it's not going to be falling out of your applications as easy. But what we've also built into the back side of the flange here is a nut grabber. So that nut grabber, you tighten down the nut and bolt, it grabs onto the nut already. Now I only need 1 wrench to tighten this down. So it is going to make your installs much easier. What we've also done has done a dual knockout. So on either side, so depending on which way your electric is coming, you can bring it in from either side. And then once we pull this cover off, we've made things a lot easier. What we've done now is given you a black and white 6-inch stranded leads.
No ground?
No ground needed. All right, there's no ground screw. This motor is a double insulated motor, so it doesn't need a ground screw. But we've done the black and white. For those of you that are familiar with the double O's and you've wired in a double O, what do you notice when you pull the cover off? White and yellow. All right. Well, now we have black and white because I get the call all the time especially from electricians that are not familiar with hydronics, all right, and not familiar with Taco, and they say, hey, what's with the yellow wire? What do I do with it? Well, it's the same as your black. And they're like, wait, what? So here we've added black and white. And those 2 black and white leads are actually on a Molex plug. So it's not a huge box, but it's big enough. You pull out the plug, you do your wire nut connection, you can push it back in. So it's a much easier installation now.
So we've got on supplyhouse.com $125.95 for the smart plug and $149.95 for the 007E. And I know you've you've obviously hit on all the savings and stuff. Maybe altogether, there's obviously a difference in price between the 007E and the 007.
Correct.
So how does a contractor sell that to a customer? And also, I think this leads into the government regulations that are going to be changing.
Correct, in a way,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
As I said before, we're looking at about $25 to $30 a year electrical savings. So yeah, we're looking at a difference in price.
Right.
It'll make itself up in a year and a half, 2 years or so. So hopefully that cost objection is going to be taken away. We're also looking at some fuel savings that we could see. Hard to calculate based upon a circulator because there's too many variables for us to come into play there.
Well,
So-
could be around 5% or a little bit more.
Yeah, so we could see some fuel savings happening there. And one other thing, as you were saying, the Department of Energy is getting involved in regulations of circulators. And they are looking at, in a few years' time, that everything is going to be a high-efficiency circ. So there will be a day that the old 007, as you know it today, will be gone away. we won't be able to make it anymore in that efficient format. It needs to be a higher efficiency style motor. Europe has just adopted this just last year sometime, and we're guesstimating sometime around 2020, 2021 or so, that we will not be able to make a standard efficiency circulator. So we are looking to go in that direction. So of course it all comes down to supply and demand and volumes, yeah, when it comes to the pricing of it. So.
And obviously, you can still use the 007 pumps that are already installed.
Oh yeah, definitely. Sure.
Sure.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We'll still be making them until they tell us that we can't.
All right, so we've got a few winners here. And Jim, if you could announce the winner for the 007 pump right there.
This one here?
Yep.
Robert Doherty?
Robert Doherty is
Robert
the winner
Doherty.
of our 007 E-Pump. Rob,
Excellent.
We will reach out to you in messages, and we'll send that out to you as soon as you can. And
Good
Dave,
job, Robert. And for
Thank
the
you.
smart plug, Sean Paul Carden, you're getting this smart plug sitting right here. No, I didn't use it, so it's just been taken out of the package. We'll put it back in, nice and clean for you. We'll send those out for you.
Great. I know Sean asked a few great questions.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us. We really appreciate it. This was our first trip into the live broadcast avenue, so appreciate you guys coming in and talking about these products. I think that this was useful for a lot of people.
My pleasure to be here. Had a lot
Yes,
of fun.
thank you
Thanks
very
to everybody
much.
that came and logged in. Great to
Great.
see you. Hopefully, we'll see you out there.
Okay, have a good night.